my name is Jenny. Welcome to my tiny house here in Woolwich, Maine. This is my 207 tiny house at the Out of My Gourd farm, and we're excited for you to be here today.
I grew up in a family of people who had tree houses. I had a tree house in the backyard of my grandmother's home that was a platform and just kind of the skeleton of a regular home. My cousins had a really beautiful tree house. It was called the Crow's Nest. And so I have just really great memories of growing up out in the woods and being in nature. And I always knew that when I grew up, I was going to have a big girl tree house, and my dream came true. I was lucky enough that I have a father who had been a master carpenter his whole life and had a construction company, but also owned a marina and was in the boat business. So I knew a lot about tiny structures, about building. I asked him how to go about doing it. He said, get yourself a piece of grid paper, and that's as easy as it is. So I got a piece of grid paper. After a couple different things, I knew what I needed and what I wanted. And I sent it to him and he said, it looks good. So that started my journey. I live in a farmhouse from 1742, and the tiny house sits 600 feet back from it up in the woods, overlooking a beautiful field and a babbling brook. So there's two ways to access our tiny house. One is walking through my backyard and through a field, which is lovely, especially in the fall time. But my favorite way is to go through the back trails through the woods. It's a real calming, beautiful little stroll, and we do it quite often.
This rock actually is a granite formation. It's about 60 feet long and it goes up to the front of my farmhouse. And I knew that when we found this piece of land that something special had to happen on that. And it took about 20 years to make that dream happen, but when it did, it was pretty fantastic. I wanted to make sure that we locally sourced all the lumber right here in our state of Maine. I went to a lumber mill right here, not too far from here. And I hand chose every piece of wood for the tiny house that was going to go into the making of it. So I made sure everything was straight and perfect, and I'm really pleased in how it turned out. Come on over here. When you're looking at how we actually anchored it into this large rock, we had these plates made at a local iron shop, and we had the carpenter come and drill into the rock itself. If you're looking up here, some of these large beams might look like a little bit of overkill. We added some extra supports and some beams, and this year I plan on doing some real native plantings in front of it to really give it a really wonderful feel. I'm going to add some swings here underneath it so we can actually sit here and swing overlooking the field and the beautiful creek behind us. This is probably my most favorite thing in the tiny house. I knew I wanted to be a tree house. I grew up having a tree house as a little girl, and when I had my friend come to build me this deck, I said we have to include this fabulous tree into the build. I wanted to make sure when we were planning the outside space that the outside was just as great as the inside. We knew that this fabulous view is why we were here, and we wanted our friends and our family to enjoy it as much as we did. We do a lot of entertaining out here. It's a 4-season porch, even though we're here in Maine. Nothing stops us from coming outside and enjoying the weather. I want to talk a little bit about my siding. It was really important for us to use, again, locally sourced wood. We went with pine, as they used to use on the old barns of New England. We wanted to age to a beautiful patina of black. And as you can see, our walls are not your standard 8-foot walls. I wanted it to feel a lot larger, and by giving myself a 10-foot wall and doing a 14-foot pitch on the roof, we were able to have a loft that you can actually stand in. Come on inside. So this space is 430 square feet. What makes it feel a little bit larger is, once again, we did the 10-foot walls. found this beautiful antique mantle actually at a local antique store. It was very inexpensive, and wherever I could cut corners in my tiny house, I really wanted to make sure. So it was purple, it was falling apart, I painted it, and I think it turned out really great. One of the things I wanted to always make sure is when you're choosing your decor is make sure you have a great mixture of new and old so it looks like it's always been here. This beautiful wood down here, I went ahead and I cut all these little pieces of wood from my woods, and it just gives it a really extra little touch, and I was really pleased how that turned out. We have a couple heating sources here. This is my propane gas stove. We use it really more like in springtime and also in the fall. It is not vented, and that comes up a lot of times because if you do not have it vented, what happens is it will produce humidity. You do not want humidity in your tiny house. Where there is humidity, there is mold. And that is one of the reasons we chose to put in a heat pump, and we chose an 1800 BTU heat pump. And we did that is because in these cold Maine winters, we want to make sure you have more BTU than the square footage is actually needed so it doesn't freeze up. We also have a cubic mini wood stove that we use all the time, and that also helps with the humidity.
Now for a brief message from our sponsor, Cook Unity. Do you love to eat delicious food and travel? Well, Cook Unity is your ticket to taste bud adventures. It's the first chef-to-you meal delivery service. Each week, a diverse group of award-winning chefs handcrafts globally inspired meals from vegetarian to paleo and everything in between. The menu rotates so there's always something new to try, and it's made with fresh ingredients, nothing artificial or lame. Meals are delivered fresh and fully cooked, so you only need to heat them up. Quick, easy, and best of all, no cleanup. In a tiny kitchen, that's really appreciated. Tonight, we're eating the walnut miso crusted salmon with bok choy and charred Napa cabbage by Esther Choi. Each Cook Unity meal is seriously delicious. Ready for your taste buds to travel the world? Go to cookunity.com/tinyhouse or click the link in the description and use our code TINYHOUSE50 to get 50% off your first order of Cook Unity meals to try them out for yourself.
My building is only 14 by 18, and by adding this 8 by 6 bump out, it makes it visually look a lot larger. Having large windows, as large as you can afford, is always a good idea as well. I would encourage everyone to search for building supplies that have discounted windows. All the windows in my tiny house, all together collectively, only cost less than $1,000. We wanted to have these beautiful beams in here as well, so I made sure that it was a little bit of a cathedral ceiling effect, once again making this bump out seem larger than it actually is. We come on over here to my kitchen. This is my refrigerator. It's big enough for what I use when I come on up here. It's cute, it's functional. I went and saved money by purchasing these IKEA countertops. They're very, very affordable. I bought stock cabinetry that was reduced because the sides of them were scratched. So my cabinets cost a total of $80 for both of them. Here, walking onto my sink, I had a dear friend, and the sink was actually outside of her house for many years, laying in the woods when I saw it, and I asked her if I could have it, and she gave it to me. Here you can see I have a big jug of spring water. This is dual purpose. It's potable drinking water, cooking water, but I also use it to clean my dishes. I have no outlet right at the moment, and that's a project we're going to get to hopefully this spring, where I'm putting a gravity water system in, and I'll have a gray water system. But for now, the last 3 years, this has really worked really well for me. I have my propane stove. It's a 23-inch apartment-sized stove. It's large enough to put a small turkey in there, and it's really everything that we could possibly need. always have something fun. And this is my little spice rack. To me, putting things vertically versus in drawers really worked for me. The open shelving, sometimes people say, well, don't those get dirty? Well, we use everything that you see here today. So I have everything out. I use it regularly. I wash it and put it back up.
After I had the dream of putting it all down on paper and I thought about it and I knew it was a reality, I had to go find somebody that could build the shelf for me. I had read in the paper that Amish families were moving into our community, and I got in the car one afternoon with my drawings and I drove around until I saw a horse and buggy. And when I saw that first horse and buggy, believe it or not, there was a tiny house parked in the driveway and they were building a tiny house on wheels. So I pulled in, I introduced myself to the gentleman, and I told him a little bit about what I was doing. And every single week, for about 3 months, I went to his home, and he invited me in to sit with him and his wife and his children, which is very unusual if you've ever met an Amish family, and told him my dream and what exactly I was looking for. He said he could do it. We started there. It was very affordable. It only cost me $9,000 for the shell of the tiny house. And he then went ahead and called his brothers from New York, and they all came to Maine. We put the pieces of the tiny house on the back of a tow truck wrecker and bring the shell of the house. And they came and they put it up, and they had it up in 3 days. It was just a wonderful experience from start to finish. And I'm very grateful for them. I finished the interior of the house with myself and a friend of mine. And when I needed help or questions, I always had people to go to ask.
Over here, sometimes you have to choose one thing that you're going to spend the money on. And this was it. It was my cubic mini wood stove. It's a Grizzly model. The great thing about this is it does go right on the wall. You need zero clearance between these little tiny steel metal beams. As you can see, that it has a baffle here, so you can actually put fabric. These curtains are exactly 12 inches away from it. This does not get, it gets warm, but it does not get hot, because safety is always very important in a tiny house. You want to make sure that you have several different fire extinguishers. I have one by the bed, I have one over here, one by the door. So God forbid there was a fire, you can put it out and get out. I chose the sectional actually before I even built my tiny house. I knew I wanted a sectional in here so it would be a great place for entertaining. So I chose the sectional, I measured it out, and I originally was going to go with a 12-foot wide space, but I ended up going 14 because in moving the door all the way to the end, that way it gave me enough room to have the sectional. Sometimes people have a tendency, they want their doors directly in the middle of the space, but by moving it as far over as you possibly can so you have enough space to open it and structurally it's sound, this gave me a whole entertaining space. And it actually makes you feel like this is the living room, that other part is the kitchen, that other part is the bedroom, and it gives you that really cozy sort of feel. I also knew that I needed as large of windows as I possibly could get. And when you're sitting here and you can see the snow falling down in the field and in the woods, it's like being up in a treehouse. When I was first designing this, I knew that the loft area, I wanted it not just to be storage, but I wanted it to be livable space if I ever chose to have family come and stay with me. So instead of your standard 8-foot wall, I designed it to have 10 feet walls and a 14-foot pitch. So you can actually stand up, you can move around up there, you can lay in bed, you can sit up in bed. And I think that's really important when you're designing an area, to know that you can change dimensions as long as it's structurally sound. But I think it turned out great. Adding these beautiful beams also gave it structure, but at the same time, it's just pretty to look at. So this is a 4x6 bump out, and we do not have a shower up here. We are putting an outside shower in this summer. This ceiling here, it goes up to a 10-foot cathedral ceiling, and again, making the space feeling a lot larger than it actually is. When it came to composting toilets and us figuring out that, I looked at a couple different brands. I wasn't really happy about, one, the cost, but how the setup was. I researched human manure, I researched DIY, and it just felt like it was the right fit for us. It cost me a total of $10 to build this, and I'm really pleased in how it turned out. I consciously chose to have a curtain here to make the space feel larger. If your eye can travel from one wall to the other wall, it always brings everything out and makes it feel a lot larger. Same reason we chose to have this little banquette here versus an island where it would be boxed in. Because you can see from the front door all the way to the back wall, it makes it feel larger. The total cost of my build was under $25,000, which is fairly remarkable for what I have. Lumber prices were really great at the moment. I had some people who really blessed me with helping me with do electrical work and some other things that I wouldn't have necessarily been able to have right now. I have to say what brings me the most joy is sometimes I sit on the couch and I say to my family, can you believe that the dream came true? It's sometimes really hard for me to take in that this is mine. I own it. I paid cash for it. I worked hard to achieve it, and I'm really proud of myself. I just believe that the time is now. If you have the dream, don't put it off, because tomorrow will never be better than today. So why not start it today? Write it down, journal. Know what your dream is. Put it on paper. Even if it doesn't happen for 10 years, 20 years, put it down on paper, because we have to make a plan for dreams to come true. So I just want a little share about what we're doing in 2023. We're starting tiny house tours, and part of that we are going to be doing forest bathing and also tiny house bathing. And that might be a question that some people are like, well, what is that? Forest bathing is a Japanese practice of walking through and being in one with nature. It's very healthy, different health benefits. And when you're here at the tiny house, you will feel that same effect. It is the most peaceful place you'll ever be. And I want to share that with other people. I don't want it to be something, a gift I keep to myself. I want it to be a gift that I give to other people. We will be doing foot bathing, where they will have hot stones over a campfire where we will warm water, and they will put their feet in it after they forest bathe before they come into the tiny house. And I believe it's going to be a real restorative time for some people out in the world.
Thank you for watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Instagram for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.